matter which one, Labour, Conservative, you name them, they're all here, Republican, Democrats, whatever, and heads of charities, or as they're...
The live debate between Angela Rayner and Katie Hopkins was nothing short of electrifying. From the moment it began, the atmosphere was tense, with each word spoken carrying the weight of public opinion and political stakes.
You know, one of the big kind of messages from that show was, if you are going to sort a problem, you have to be brutally honest about it. And because the media...
Angela Rayner, known for her passionate speeches and dedication to the working class, faced off against Katie Hopkins, whose sharp tongue and sarcastic style are infamous. It was a battle of ideologies and perspectives, with the audience watching closely to see who would emerge stronger. Hopkins and Rayner remained composed throughout. Her calm yet firm demeanour was a testament to her resilience. While Hopkins tried to dominate the conversation with jabs about Labour's supposed failings, Rayner skillfully redirected the focus to the real issues that genuinely affect everyday people. She didn't allow the theatrics to shake her, showcasing an ability to stay grounded even in high-pressure moments.
Deputies, Conservatives, Labour representatives. So that's where the actual problem lies.
When Hopkins accused her of evading accountability, Rayner countered with clarity, citing her efforts to address the cost of living crisis, pensioner welfare and housing concerns. She spoke with conviction, outlining how Labour's initiatives aim to uplift those left behind by years of neglect. While Hopkins mocked and exaggerated, Rayner used facts and empathy to connect with viewers, proving her focus was not on political point scoring, but on making tangible changes in people's lives.
Two-tier policing in the UK, when he shows to the world what's happening here, it is beyond the control.
Angela Rayner's commitment to representing the working class has always been at the heart of her political journey. She believes in fairness, dignity and justice, values that resonate with many who feel overlooked by those in power. During the debate, her passion for these ideals was evident. She didn't shy away from addressing the real challenges faced by British families, even as Hopkins tried to derail the conversation with her signature cynicism.
Billion next year into additional funding into housing, 500 million into affordable homes. There has to be lots of different parts of the system that works.
Rayner's focus remains firmly on issues like affordable housing, reducing the cost of living and supporting pensioners. Unlike her critics, who often resort to surface-level attacks, she is deeply invested in finding solutions. Her leadership style isn't about grandstanding or soundbites. It's about doing the hard work necessary to bring about change. Whether it's fighting for winter fuel allowances or pushing for fair taxation, her approach is rooted in addressing systemic problems that directly impact people's lives.
Streamlining.
Yes.
I see the Prime Minister this morning is saying that local councils will get more powers, but they will also have more responsibilities.
What sets Rayner apart is her ability to empathise with the struggles of ordinary citizens. She doesn't just speak about hardships, she listens to those experiencing them. Her policies are shaped by conversations with real people, ensuring they reflect the needs of the working class. This connection makes her leadership relatable and authentic, a stark contrast to the detached critiques of her opponents. Rayner doesn't just understand the problems, she's committed to finding actionable solutions.
Use migrant labour far too much instead of actually building skills here in the UK. I've announced £140 million for new construction hubs so that we can train people.
Katie Hopkins' criticisms during the debate were sharp but far from accurate. Her portrayal of Angela Rayner as evasive and ineffective was not only exaggerated, but also dismissive of the genuine efforts Labour has made under Rayner's leadership. Hopkins' sarcastic remarks may have been entertaining for some, but they lack the substance to undermine Rayner's credibility.
And people who are fleeing domestic violence. Councils need homes for people that are on the waiting list. I've already announced changes to the right to buy, making sure that...
Rayner's policies and responses, on the other hand, are grounded in meaningful reform. While Hopkins accused her of offering empty rhetoric, Rayner presented clear strategies to tackle issues like high taxes, rising energy costs and pensioner neglect. Her focus on practical solutions contrasted sharply with Hopkins's focus on mocking Labour's approach. For instance, Hopkins ridiculed Labour for delayed winter fuel allowances, but Rayner highlighted how the party is working to ensure these policies are implemented effectively rather than hastily.
People in the local area didn't want. This will be an engagement and a plan that has been agreed.
Look, I know you're going to
that we can take it forward.
I love all the diplomacy.
What truly stood out was Rayner's resilience in the face of relentless scrutiny. Public criticism is part of political life, and Rayner didn't flinch. Instead, she addressed it head-on with a calm, measured approach that underscored her strength as a leader. Her ability to remain composed and focused on the bigger picture was a stark reminder of why she has earned the trust of many within the working class.
Sanctions.
Trevor, they have to have a local plan. It's compulsory.
I'm not talking about the local plan. There's actual decisions.
Yeah, of course, you're missing the point.
And they don't hit the plan. What happens if they don't hit the plan?
Hopkins may have tried to paint Rayner as disconnected from British families' struggles, but the reality is quite the opposite. Rayner's connection to these issues is personal and profound. She has lived through the challenges she advocates against, making her policies deeply informed by experience rather than abstract theory. This authenticity is what Hopkins' criticisms fail to account for.
Where we have a desperate housing crisis and we can't resolve things like nutrient neutrality, which we believe we can, and making sure that we can make sure that nature's protected.
Rayner's vision isn't about tearing down opponents, but building up communities. Her leadership is about ensuring fairness, whether by addressing the cost of living crisis or ensuring pensioners aren't left out in the cold. While critics like Hopkins focus on tearing apart Labour's approach, Rayner remains steadfast in her mission to create a better, more equitable Britain. Her responses during the debate reflected not just a leader who listens, but one who acts.
There is no need then for things to be constantly clogged up in a system that is causing chaos. So people know where we're going and they know the destination.
Katie Hopkins' claim that Angela Rayner evades accountability is simply not accurate. Rayner has shown time and again that she is willing to face tough questions and public scrutiny head-on. Unlike many politicians who shy away from criticism, she steps into the spotlight, ready to explain her stance and defend her actions. Whether it's addressing concerns about Labour's approach to the cost of living or speaking out on delayed policies, Rayner hasn't hesitated to engage with both supporters and critics.
Developers say this is where we want to build, and if they are building within the local plan and the MPPF, they will get a fast-track process.
Take, for example, her efforts to tackle the energy crisis and high living costs. While critics like Hopkins scoffed at Labour's strategies, Rayner presented detailed plans aimed at alleviating the burden on working families. She spoke directly about policies to cap energy bills and increase support for pensioners, showing a willingness to acknowledge where improvements were needed and providing practical solutions. This is not the behaviour of someone evading accountability, it's the mark of a leader focused on doing what's right.
People, contracts for building homes for people, contracts for their hotels, contracts for the money flows backwards into charities, into...
Hopkins also criticised Labour's broader policies, claiming they lacked substance or effectiveness. This couldn't be further from the truth. Under Rayner's leadership, Labour has consistently pushed for measures to reduce inequality and invest in the future of Britain. Policies focused on affordable housing, fair wages and support for struggling families are all designed to create long-term change. Unlike critics who simply point out flaws, Rayner has worked to craft solutions that reflect the needs of real people. Hopkins's attacks might make for good soundbites, but they fail to acknowledge the hard work and genuine commitment Rayner brings to the table.
I welcome that news, but what we need to see is a political resolution in line with the UN resolutions, and we need to see civilians and infrastructure.
Angela Rayner envisions a fairer society where no one has to choose between necessities like heating their home or putting food on the table. This isn't just political rhetoric, it's a mission she has been passionately pursuing. Rayner's focus on practical, tangible changes has made her a strong advocate for working families who feel left behind by years of neglect and rising inequality.
in the planning system. I've told local authorities they have to have a local plan. That means councillors and local people will decide what the general plan is for their area.
One of the most striking aspects of her vision is her determination to address systemic issues. Rayner doesn't just look at symptoms, she digs deep into the root causes of problems. For instance, instead of offering temporary relief for high energy costs, she has supported policies that aim to overhaul the system, ensuring long-term affordability and sustainability. Her work reflects a deep understanding that quick fixes don't solve the deeper inequalities that many British families face.
That we're going to have to make real changes to the planning system.
Yep.
We've already put £5 billion next year into additional funding into housing, £500 million into affordability.
Rayner's empathy for the struggles of ordinary citizens is evident in her actions. She has been vocal about pensioners being left out in the cold, literally and figuratively, and has consistently pushed for increased support for this vulnerable group. Her focus isn't on creating flashy headlines, but on making sure every family has the resources they need to live with dignity. This dedication to real change sets her apart from those who prefer divisive debates over genuine problem solving.
So let me say it simply. I consulted on the National Planning Policy Framework from July when we were elected. Next week I will be outlining that structure, so it will be clarity.
Angela Rayner's approach is so important because of her clear understanding of leadership as a form of service rather than a spectacle. In a political landscape often dominated by theatrics and posturing, Rayner stands out as someone deeply connected to grassroots issues. She understands the realities of life for the working class because she has lived them herself. This lived experience fuels her passion and makes her a relatable and trustworthy leader. So, what are your thoughts on this? Let us know in the comments below.